Hello, hope you guys are doing fantastic today. So this is going to be a follow-up video from the video 2 days ago where I talked about the breach farm. Um, I was experimenting in past 2 days, excuse me, that was 3 days ago I think. I was experimenting for the past days on stream and I was trying to find the best, the most optimal breach farming strategy that I could find. I think I found it, but I am not like 100% sure if this would be better or something like, for example, if you wanted to add a beyond on top of that. That being said, this is the strategy where I think I had the most profit, and I'm going to share with you guys. So the difference between the farm from a few days ago and this one is that basically I did some small changes to the passive tree. For example, I dropped the Chayula and the bosses, the breach bosses completely. And what I did instead is I started adding Delirium, and by that I mean Deli Orbs. Diviner Deli Orbs. This is actually very good profit. You can find about 70 div cards per map from the 4 of these. So 4 of these going to cost you like about 70. I was buying them for 18 chaos each, so it's going to cost you like 72 chaos, and the reward is going to be 70 divine. Excuse me, stacked decks, which is going to be almost a divine. So adding them not only it gives you quantity on your map, but additionally is very good for profit itself. Of course, it makes the map much harder. That being said, it's very good, and yeah, in this video I'm going to talk about all the changes that I did, what you're supposed to do, the mistake I did, because we still did mistakes as always. It's just you can't go perfect on this channel, I guess. And I'm going to guys give you the atlas, show you the atlas, and give it in the description, and also we're going to talk about profits and calculate how much we earned in the 20 map showcase that I had. Alright, so let's start with, I'm not going to run a live showcase here. We're just going to, I downloaded a long clip, a snippet of what I had yesterday, what I was doing yesterday on stream, and hopefully it's going to work there perfectly. And I'm quickly going to talk about what the heck is going on here. So the Scarab setup is exactly the same. We are doing 4 times the breach Scarab and the breach, thing on the map device for 3 extra breaches, and on top of that we add breach Scarab of Resonating Cascade, which basically what it does is the more breaches you open in the map, the harder, the faster breach opens and closes, but at the same time the more loot you're gonna get from it, from the monsters. They get like, it's basically like they're getting toughness. I don't know if this is exactly how the game calculates that, if this is how the game functions. But they're getting tankier. They give you more loot, right? So what I've been doing in these maps is, as you can see, I've been basically trying to run through the entire thing, minus this one breach that you opened, that you saw there, that I opened by accident. And I tried to clear the entire map first, pick up all the altars for something like currency duplication altar or something like that, and then just run back and open breach after breach after breach. I think this is a mistake. I genuinely think that this is a mistake. I run enough maps at this point to think that this is a mistake. What is king during during if you decide to go for such farming method is speed. Speed is definitely king. The faster you're going to finish your maps, the more profit, generally speaking, you're going to have. And the fact that sometimes you're going to get 20% increased quantity on your map extra, and sometimes you're going to get like 20% chance to get duplication of currency, that honestly is not worth the hustle. Like just running from the start of the map to the finish and finishing everything as it goes, I think is the most efficient way, because this way you legitimately save like, I don't know, minute and a half sometimes per map, and the profit loss is very negligible. On top of that, some of the profit that you're gonna get from altars, you're gonna get some of these altars at the start of your map or in the middle, so it's not like you're going to waste all of them. You're just going to like waste a little bit, right? You can get like a basic scarab, basic currency altar duplication at the start of the map, and then you're done. You don't really care, right? Of course, I do believe you can get twice. You can get it twice per map, but this is so extremely rare that basically I don't think it happened to me a single time. So this is not something I would even care about. So I would just like legitimately run through the map from the very start to the end, and not go back and not try to like open breaches after the map is pretty much finished, because in my opinion it is not necessarily worth it. Additionally, I guess if you really want to be nitpicky, this would give you a little bit more stacked decks, because after you finish the map, you get the entire row of stacked decks. Of rewards from Delirium, right? And the entire raw is going to be easier to fill when you have only, like, for example, 8 or 9 once you killed every non-breach monster on the map. So on paper, that would give you, on average, like a little bit more stacked decks. Like maybe you would get extra row per map, or maybe extra row every second map. So that would be a little bit more. On average, I would say that this would give you like an additional row of stacked decks per 2 maps, which would be like 8 stacked decks extra per map, which is actually kind of decent now that I think about it. It's actually kind of decent. It wouldn't be too bad. You could also, if you wanted to, focus more on farming stacked decks, you could also do, you could drop, like, for example, 1 breach scarab, which wouldn't be like that big of a deal because you still get like 12 breaches per map. And instead of it, you could add the Delirium Scarab that makes your rewards fill 100% faster. This way you're going to have guaranteed more profit, and you probably, instead of, like, I think per map I would fill like 16 or 17 times these rewards. With this Scarab, you probably would fill them like 21, 22 times, something like this. So that would basically give you extra 5 filled rewards, and extra 5 filled rewards is 20 stacked decks per map. So in 20 map showcase, that would be a 400 extra stacked decks, because of course you would lose 40 breaches in total, but 400 extra stacked decks is nothing to sneeze at. This is basically a guaranteed five something divines, right, of raw profit. So it's debatable if it will be better than breaches themselves, but yeah, more or less that's how it looks like. So yeah, pretty much that's it. At this point, I was just trying to clear as many of these breaches as possible. Keep in mind, speed, absolute king, absolute king. I can't stress enough how important speed is when it comes to maximizing the profits doing this farm. As you can see, I dropped the, this was supposed to be, this is an Aegis build that has like 50,000 armor and, has recovery on block. I literally dropped the flask that was giving me 30,000 armor. So currently during this farm, I'm sitting like at 20,000. At this point, doing Aegis is kind of pointless, not gonna lie, when you have 20,000 armor. And I did it because I just prefer to have that Quicksilver Flask, right, to just move around faster. If you have a build that specializes on moving very quickly around the map and has very good clear, which arguably my clear is not that great, you can definitely increase the speed at which you're going to be clearing maps very, very significantly. I would say that you could probably clear the entire map, including the advice from before, where I don't think it's worth it to like go through the map twice. I think you could clear the entire map on a very fast build, like 4 minutes, like all the breaches. So something to keep in mind, right? But that's pretty much what I wanted to show you here. That's how I did. That's how I've done my 20 maps. Every single map pretty much looked the same. I have to say that I rolled one map really poorly when it had really, really horrible modifiers for me, and this map I failed tremendously. I think it has less block, less armor. They were stealing energy shield and mana on hit, rare and unique monsters, and something else. So the map was basically, I semi-failed it, right? I basically had no profit from it. And there was another map that I was struggling with because I just, I rolled some of them poorly. I should have spent more time a little bit. But just mentioning that, Divine at the end here, but the profit could be a little bit better, even a little bit better. If I spend a little bit more time rolling maps and avoiding very horrible modifiers, combos of modifiers for this build, the profit would be even better. That being said, let's jump into profits. This is what I have after finishing 20 maps. It says 68.6 divines, and let's just break this down a little bit. So I dropped 20 divines. Actually, it was 18 divines. I did drop Enlighten, and I sold it, and it is included in here. There is another thing that I found and sold, a cluster jewel for 4 divines. That just dropped like a level, I level 84 mana reservation cluster jewel. I did not include that in there. So this is with the Enlighten, this is without the Cluster Jewel. Why I did that? Because during these runs, I had situations when I was dropping Enhance, Empower, Enlighten from time to time because you're just killing so many monsters that they do drop. When it comes to Cluster Jewel, that was pretty much the first this league. So I thought that including Cluster Jewel is not necessarily going to be fair. I didn't include the Enlighten though. Something to keep in mind, right? So after all of that, it's 16.8, 68.6 divines. Let's break it down a little bit. So obviously divine orbs, you know, just like that. Stacked decks, 2.6 chaos each. I changed the original price a little bit. This is still below what you're gonna get for these stacked decks on something like TFT. Because on TFT you can easily sell them for 75 stacked decks per divine. So this is not going to be, this is basically 80 stacked decks per divine, right? So even less than that. So this is definitely underpriced. And if you're going to be selling them in huge bulks, which you will if you're going to run that for a long time, like for example, look at over here, I have at this point I have 3,000 stacked decks plus all of this, the farm from this farming session. I have like 4,000 stacked decks at this point, so I could probably sell 70 for one divine at this point on TFT. So this is actually underpriced. Then Valdos are about right, but honestly on TFT, big bulks you can sell them for more. Even on the market right now, I'm gonna show you Valdos are worth what? Valdo for chaos, and they're worth. Never mind. Actually, when I was doing research before the video, they're 152 exalts. Excuse me, chaos. Now they're 148, but you know it's completely irrelevant because it's 10 boxes. I can change it to 148. So this is gonna be fine. Void reliquary keys. I also changed before, checked before the video. There were 540. That being said, there's only 2 of them, so plus minus 5 chaos is going to be pretty much what do you say? What you see here. Chaos orbs. You might be surprised the absolutely insane amount of chaos orbs. It's because as I mentioned before, I sold the Enlighten while farming, and I added, you know, the chaos orbs from Enlighten over here. So, but generally speaking, I was getting insane amount of chaos per map. Some maps, the more juiced maps, I had one map that I rolled with 300% more currency. So after the modifiers in the map itself, it was like 560% more currency. This map dropped like 60 raw chaos, so something to keep in mind. You'll be picking up a lot of chaos like that, and if your filter doesn't show chaos orbs, it's up to you, depending on if you think that it's going to be worth to pick them up or not. But something to keep in mind, right? That they're dropping a lot of chaos, especially these breaches that you're gonna open, you know, towards the later parts of the map, because as I mentioned before, the more breaches you open, the harder, the faster, and the faster they close and they open, but also the monsters are stronger, but they drop more loot. So towards the end, they really start dropping a lot of chaos. Abomination maps, 40 chaos. They're probably worth more than that, probably around 50, but whatever. Cartography scarabs, they're worth right now, I think, 18 chaos. So once again, we're losing actually decent amount of chaos here. We're losing, but I'm just gonna keep it as it is. This one also is worth way more. I think it's like about 300 chaos, but it's whatever, right? Exalted orbs, this eldritch annulments. These ones I didn't even check, but you know, for the most part at this point, I would say that more or less these are fine. I'm only going to quickly talk about the things I changed. So Jungle Valley maps, I've been buying them for around 50 chaos. They're worth a lot, and you can easily sell them for 50 chaos on TFT. That being said, there is only 3, so if someone wants to, like, you know, be nitpicky and say that, oh, you can only sell them for 40 chaos, that is not true. But if you want to be nitpicky, that's only going to be 30 chaos. That's still way less than we lost from these things that I didn't change, right? The blueprints for 30 chaos each. This is how much I've been selling them all league, so it is what it is. Once again, there's only 6 of them. If you'll be selling them for 25 chaos each, a big whoopsie, right? Then I changed Splinters of Cholula from 2 chaos to 1 chaos. This is pretty much exactly how much they're worth, so I think this is perfect. Screaming Invitation, you know, I was doing the altar, so eventually I got the invitation. It's worth way more than that. It's like worth like a half divine, so that's another 40 chaos lost. So something to mention. So generally speaking, we only have losses here, right? And by losses, I mean many of these items are worth more than it's showcased over there. Definitely. I'm 100% sure. Then again, you could argue that some of these items. This is also this map is worth like 100 chaos because it's a 16.5 Jungle Valley map that is a Conquer map at the same time. So this map is worth way more than that. But I just said whatever. Just put the same price as for regular Jungle Valleys. So you could argue that the profit would be a little bit less for some of these maps, right? Excuse me, for some of these scarabs, but I think this would be equal to. It will like even out with the losses that we have over here. Arguably, I would say that the gains would be even a little bit higher, but it is what it is, right? I think that this is going to be like plus minus 3% perfectly accurate profits compared to what you can expect, basically. Like if you're expecting this number, then it's going to be the realistic profit is going to be extremely close to this number. I checked vast majority of these items, and this is just how it is. But here's the kicker: I did not include breach rings. This time I fixed my mistake and I did pick them up, and I did not include breach rings, and it's arguable how you're going to price them. On TFT, you can sell grasping males that are level eye level 83 for a divine instantly, right? So you don't even need to sell rings themselves. You can literally just put them to the vendor, get the grasping male, and you're done. That being said, the eye level 84 ones are worth more, and they're worth like 2 divines. And we have about, I don't know, this is like 20 maybe. This is another 20. This is more than 20 for sure. I would say that we have close to 60 breach rings that are eye level 84. So that would be like 2 divine. And generally speaking, how many of rings we have here? This is 144. This is 144. So that's 288. And here we have 48, because 12 times 4, so 48. 48 plus 288 is like 336, I think, in total. So 336, that's 5.5 of grasping males, but one of them is going to be eye level 84. That's going to be like 6 or 7 divines, something like that. That's going to be like 6 or 7 divines of raw profit. I did not include there in the tab over here in the total profit, but you definitely should. You definitely should, keep that in mind, that this is going to be additional 6-7 divine profit per 20 maps, right? And depending on for how long you're rolling your maps and how much you're well, not juicing them, but how well rolled they are, because the more quantity, obviously, the more pack size, the more breach rings. Well, not pack size, only the quantity. The more breach rings you will be getting. So if you wanted to add 7 divines here, that would be like 75 divines in 20 maps. Then if you wanted to add the cluster, if you really wanted to add the cluster that I sold for 4 divines, that would be 79 divines after 20 maps. And of course, that is not raw profit. The profit is still better, actually decently better compared to the previous video, but this is not everything, because these maps obviously cost as well. And let's calculate the cost. I have prepared over here a setup that is mandatory pretty much for a single map to roll, to have like a perfectly fine map that you need to run. If someone doesn't believe me, or is there a problem, I've been literally rolling them on stream yesterday for like 15 minutes or something like that. This is on average the cost that it's going to take to get one runnable map. So let's calculate how much that is. So Jungle Valley, I listed them for 50 chaos in the in the tab over here in total profits. So I am going to count them as 50 chaos, and this is more or less how much I've been paying for a single map. So of course you can buy in bulk. So it's only one purchase, so you don't have to buy single map after single map. That being said, about 50 chaos for a single map, plus 15 chaos of rolling the map to get something good, plus 1 exalt. I don't know, 22 chaos. I'm going to count that. The Diviner Delirium Orbs, I checked literally before I started making this video. They were like 18 chaos each, I do believe. yeah, I mean, if I'm wrong, then just add a little bit or deduct a little bit. But I'm just going to say 18 chaos each. So for Diviner Delirium Orbs is going to be plus 72 chaos. Then we have 4 Breach Scarabs. It's going to be 3.5 each, so 14 chaos. And then this one for 20 chaos, about that much. I think a little bit less than that, but besides the point. More or less, this is going to be this number, and then we multiply that by 20 and divide by, I don't know how much is one divine, about 215. So that's 18 divines that you need to spend to actually get 20 maps. So it's almost a divine per map. So if we are going to take a look over here, that would be about 51, a little bit less than that divines, but without breach rings. With breach rings, that will be in total about 57, 58 divines after 20 maps. That is really good. That is almost 3 divines per map. That is really good in my opinion. 3 divines per map is, I mean, let's just calculate that properly, shall we? Is I want to actually see the appropriate number. 0.6 minus, we had 17.9, I do believe, something like that, plus 7 from breach rings, divided by 20. So this is the profit per map. So I do believe that we were running breach strand breaches from the last video. We had like 2.44 divine per map of raw profit. This one is half divine more. So that being said, I did not pick up breach rings in the previous farming method, but you're definitely going to get a little bit more over time here, because it is just worth it to add delirium to your maps. Of course, you will need stronger build. Something to keep in mind that I didn't mention during the showcase is that it will be a great benefit to run something like Trickster or Juggernaut to be immune to slowing effects, because every time I would die running these maps, it will be like because I jumped into a slowing effect that slows you down by like 99% or something, which are very balanced, by the way. Or I would just have no mana to attack because of these, mana stealing modifiers. So something to keep in mind. Trickster or Juggernaut would definitely feel nice while running Delirium. And that's pretty much it. We're going to talk about Atlas real fast. Because there is a possibility that I made a mistake here. So first of all, I do not know, I am not 100% sure if adding singular focus was a good idea. I've noticed that I definitely dropped way less tier 16.5 maps compared to the previous runs. This could be because of it. I wanted to get as many jungle valleys as possible, but I didn't get them that many, to be honest. I didn't get that many. So maybe it wouldn't be worth it at all to include these points over here. It's hard to say. It really is. It honestly really is hard to say. The second thing I did is I completely disregarded any nodes that would give you actually more profits from the breaches themselves. What I did is basically I stacked as much chance to contain breaches over here, right? This node for a jackpot. We didn't have a single jackpot with 10 additional breaches. Something to keep in mind. Obviously the altars over here, boom. And then the magic monsters for as many monsters as possible. Here we have the monster density, so obviously you want this. Long story short, I ignored everything that is not adding monsters to the breaches. So I ignored bosses completely, and I ignored Cheola completely. Is this a good idea? I don't know. I don't know. Once again, something that you would need to test yourself. There is a good chance that you would be getting additional profits if you had more Chayulas and the bosses spawn for every now and then. Maybe you would get a full Breachstone or something like that. There is a possibility, but of course, in order to do that, you would need to drop some of the Scarab nodes. Or maybe like even this 3% quantity rarity is like whatever. 3% quant for 6 points, you could drop that and you could add this, boom, and then at this point you're like only a few points away from getting this. It wouldn't be a horrible idea, I guess, but the world is your oyster. If you think that this is going to be additional profit, you can absolutely go for that. If you don't think that you want to bother with this, just don't do it. Just keep the tree as it is over here. And of course, if you perhaps see any mistakes that I did, let me know down in the comments, because I'm going to optimize this strategy until it's perfect or as good as possible. So that's pretty much it. I thinking if I missed anything, but I'm pretty sure that I talked about everything that I wanted. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Next video is going to be in, as always, in a few days, 2 days or 3 days. I'm not sure what the topic is going to be yet, but we're probably going to go for another farming strat, unless I'm going to be ready to show you my next endgame project. No spoilers for now. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and see you next time. Bye bye.